Have you ever really stopped to wonder what's going on inside ChatGPT's, brain? How does it take a simple question you type and spin it into an answer that feels, so human? We're going to pull back that curtain. And trust me, the secret is a pretty wild journey right into the heart of AI.
It all really comes down to this one question, doesn't it? Can a machine actually think and talk the way we do? To even get close to an answer, we've got to look under the hood and see how the whole thing works. The second you hit enter, the AI kicks off this little 4-step journey. First, it has to read what you wrote, and by the end, its goal is to sound as human as possible. So let's follow that path, step by step. All right, first up, reading. But here's the first major surprise. ChatGPT doesn't actually see words the same way you and I do. Nope, it sees our language in a completely different way. It sees the world in these things called tokens. A token could be a whole word, like apple, or it could just be a piece of a word, like the pre and predict, or the ing and running. This is the very first thing it does. It chops our language up into these little predictable pieces. Okay, so it's got all these tokens, but how on earth does it know what they mean, especially together in a sentence? Well, this is where it gets really, really cool. The AI basically creates a giant, mind-bending map of our entire language. This map is built with something called embeddings, and it's a wild concept. Every single token gets turned into a long, long list of numbers. But here's the brilliant part. Tokens with similar meanings get similar lists of numbers. So on this map, king and queen are practically neighbors, while king and, say, cabbage are in totally different zip codes. And what you end up with is this huge meaning space. It's almost like a galaxy, where related ideas clump together to form these little constellations. You'd find all the royal words in one cluster, all the animal words in another, all of it organized purely by what the words actually mean. So now we're getting to the real heart of it, how it actually builds an answer. Once it has this incredible map of meaning, its main job becomes, surprisingly simple. It just has to predict the next most likely token. Seriously. Think of it like the autocomplete on your phone, but scaled up to an absolutely unimaginable size. The computer scientist Stephen Wolfram just nailed it with this quote. "The real magic is this simple idea. The AI isn't thinking about the whole essay it's going to write. It is laser focused on one single thing. What is the most probable next piece of the puzzle? One token at a time." And this whole process is just a constant, relentless loop. It looks at all the text it's written so far, calculates the odds for every single token that could possibly come next, and it picks the winner. Then it adds that new token, and the whole cycle starts all over again for the next word, and the next, and the next. But how can it be so freakishly good at guessing? Well, that's where this number comes in. It's making those guesses with a neural network that has 175 billion, with a B, parameters. Just think of them as tiny little adjustment knobs. And all of those knobs have been tuned by reading a gigantic chunk of the internet, millions of books. Each one helps it weigh the relationships between ideas, making its predictions just incredibly sharp. But just predicting the next word isn't quite enough. That doesn't explain why ChatGPT sounds so helpful, right? So that brings us to the final, and maybe the most important step of all, the real secret ingredient. And it has a name, RLHF. It stands for Reinforcement Learning from Human Feedback. This is the absolute key. It's the fine-tuning that takes all that raw predictive power and teaches the AI what we humans actually prefer. Answers that are helpful, safe, and just make sense. So how does this work? It's actually pretty direct. During the training phase, the AI will generate a few different answers to the same prompt. Then, real people, actual humans, look at those answers and they rank them from best to worst. They are literally teaching the AI, hey, we like this one more than that one. This human feedback is then used to train another AI, which is called a reward model. And its only job is to get really, really good at predicting which answers a human would rate the highest. After that, the main ChatGPT model gets trained again, but this time its goal isn't just predicting a word, it's to generate answers that this new reward model will give a high score. It's basically learning how to get a virtual thumbs up from us. Phew! Okay, so that was a whirlwind tour through the brain of an AI. Let's just put all 4 of those pieces of the puzzle back together and do a quick recap of the entire journey, from prompt to reply. So, it all starts by reading. Breaking your prompt down into those little tokens. Then it finds the meaning by placing those tokens on that giant map of ideas. From there, it builds the reply by just predicting the next word over and over again. And finally, this secret sauce. It learns to sound human by getting fine-tuned with our own preferences through RLHF.
And that, my friends, is the secret inside ChatGPT. If you found this breakdown interesting, a like is always awesome, and make sure you subscribe for more explainers on the tech that's changing our world.
Which brings us right back to where we started, but now with a whole new perspective. Knowing that it's all about math and probabilities and human-ranked feedback. Do you think a machine like this can ever truly understand something like joy or sadness? Or is it just the world's most sophisticated parrot? I would love to hear what you think down in the comments.